Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News. Tax Time Guide. Important considerations before filing a 2021 tax return. IR 2022-23, February 1st, 2022, Washington. Now that the 2022 tax season is open, the Internal Revenue Service reminds taxpayers to make sure they've got what they need before they file and consider free resources available to help them get organized. This news release is part of a series called the Tax Time Guide. There's a link to that here, a resource to help taxpayers file an accurate tax return. I believe this Tax Time Guide and these resources, including the free file that they're trying to get people to use using tax software, is a push to lower the level of problems or inconsistencies or errors in the tax return due to the fact, in part, that the IRS is kind of backed up on those type of issues, and they have the whole COVID thing, and they've got these problems in the past with regards to the COVID and the lessening of the staff. So anything they can do to make the tax returns more automated so they don't have to have manual people going in there and fixing things, I believe that's their big push right now. And they're concerned, of course, with the changes to the tax laws that will most likely result in more kind of these complications that will result in more people that from the IRS side that will have to participate in fixing the problems. Those things including the changes to the CTC child tax credit, the advanced child tax credit, the stimulus payments, and the earned income tax credits, for example. And we saw some of the problems with that, of course, in the prior year when we had these stimulus payments that went out, and then the connecting of that to the recovery rebate credits. So they're basically saying if you want to get your refund fast, you really want to file an accurate return so it doesn't get held up and doesn't require someone manually to look at it and get in the backlog status. And that's what they're trying to get to at this point. So additional help is available at IRS.gov or in Publication 17, your federal income tax for individuals. There's links to that here. Don't file before ready. While taxpayers should not file late, they also should not file prematurely. So again, they're really kind of pushing at this point in time, trying to file accurately, and that's going to be the way to get the refund. If you file early but you don't have all the documentation, it might actually delay the refund, because if the tax return goes into the processing log where they got to fix something or look into something, for example, having a 1099 that doesn't match up to what they have on their end, then that's going to cause a longer backlog, quite likely, given the current situation. So people who file before they receive all the proper tax reporting documents risk making a mistake that may lead to processing delays. Typically, year-end forms start arriving by mail or are available online in January. Taxpayers should review them carefully. If any of the information shows is inaccurate or not available, taxpayers should contact the payer right away for correction to ensure they have their current mailing or email address. So you want to make sure that you got the email address and whatnot, and you got the current documentation on all the stuff that comes to you. That's W-2s, that's 1099s, and so on and so forth. If those type of if the information on those returns is not accurate, then it could cause a problem. Most likely will, especially if the dollar amount is not accurate, because the IRS also has those documents. So they're going to be matching up what you put on your tax return to what they already have on their side, and they can do that basically automatically. If there's a difference, that's when it's likely that a manual person will have to come in and analyze those differences. That's what they're trying to avoid. So you want to make sure you got all the documentation, so you put it on there, you're not missing something that will then be caught in the processing, because they can just do that manually. They can compare the 1099 information, the W-2 information, just without, they could just do that comparison automatically in essence. So you want to make sure you have that. If there's a problem with the W-2 or 1099, then it'd be best if you can go back to the person who issued the W-2 and 1099 and have them correct it. Because if you report something differently, even if what you report is correct, which you should do, you want to report the correct amount, but it's going to cause a delay because it's not going to match what the payer reported. So the way to fix that as quickly as possible is not to go directly to the IRS and fix it there, but to go to the payer and say, hey, you need to fix this thing on the 1099 so that my tax return can be processed cleanly as I enter the proper information. So in any case, new this year, the IRS sent letter 6419, Advanced Child Tax Credit Reconciliation. There's a link to that here in January 2022 to help individuals reconcile and receive the full amount of their 2021 child tax credit. This letter includes the total amount of the 2021 Advanced Child Tax Credit payments issued and the number of qualifying children used to calculate their advance payments. People need this important information to accurately claim the other half the 2021 child tax credit when filing their 2021 tax return and prevent delays in processing. The IRS reminds people to check this information carefully. Most eligible people were already issued their third economic impact payment and won't include any information about it when they file. However, people who didn't qualify for the third payment or did not receive the full amount may be eligible for the 2021 recovery rebate credit based on their 2021 tax situation. So remember, the stimulus payment situation here is kind of confusing because it's a prepayment of something that they added to the tax return. And we saw this in the prior year, but it's only been 2 years. They also didn't really link the name that well. So it sounds like two different things because they called it an EIP payment, economic impact payment, a stimulus payment, and then they call the credit that's related to it the stimulus payment or EIP payment being an advanced payment, kind of like the advanced child tax credit payment is an advance of the CTC child tax credit. This is an advanced payment of the recovery rebate credit, which sounds totally different. But the idea would be that you got the full payment with regards to these stimulus payments, and therefore there wouldn't be any action needed on the tax return in most cases. But if you didn't get the full payment, then you're going to basically recover that, or the way to recover for that or get the difference is to do the recovery rebate credit. And that would mean that you calculate the recovery rebate credit, subtract what you actually got, if anything, and the difference would be basically the tax benefit. Also note that we're only talking about the third stimulus payment or EIP payment, which would be tied to the 2021 tax return, which you're going to be filing by April 18th, generally of 2022. The first two were on the 2020 tax return, and if there were problems with them, the remedy would be to file the 2020 tax return and look into the recovery rebate credit. So they will need the total amount of their third economic impact payment to file an accurate tax return. To avoid processing delays, taxpayers can sign into their IRS online account to view the total amount of their third round economic impact payments or wait to receive IRS letter 6475. Individuals not required to file must file a tax return to claim important tax credits. The IRS strongly encourages individuals who are not required to file a tax return to file one this season to claim potentially thousands of dollars in IRS credits, tax credits. So note, it used to be at one point in time that if your income, it still is, if your income is below a certain level, and that would be kind of like around generally the standard deduction, then you're not required to file because you're not going to owe any taxes. So taxes, it used to be that the idea of taxes was all-encompassing term that would basically mean that you're paying the government in some way, right? And if your income is below a certain level, then you're not going to be paying an income tax because the income is below a certain level. But now we've got all these refundable credits that are involved in that as well. So you still are not required to file, but if your income's below a certain level, it's quite likely that you could be eligible for a tax credit. So it seems like no matter where your income level is at this point in time, you probably want to file the tax return, or at least look into filing the tax return, especially since the tax software is free, because if your income's below a certain threshold, even though you're not required to file it, you might benefit from filing it because there's all these refundable credits, which includes, of course, the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, and now the recovery rebate credit, which is tied to the stimulus payments. So those are them. So by filing the tax return, individuals could claim the recovery rebate credit to receive any remaining 2021 stimulus payments that they might not have received. For example, if they added a new child or other dependent in 2021, the remaining child tax credit for which they are eligible, including any monthly payments that they might not have received. For example, if they added a new qualifying child in 2021, and the earned income tax credit, the federal government's largest refundable tax credit for low to moderate income families, the amount of which has been nearly tripled for filers without children. So, and note, those credits are complicated to calculate because the recovery rebate credit has an advanced credit portion. There's 3 payments. There's been law changes to it. And the child tax credit, has been substantially changed by the law since the prior year. So you got these changes that's happening here, and then you've got the advanced payments to it, and then the earned income tax credit has always been complicated, but now it's going to be based on 3 children. So you have different tables if you're single, 1 child, 2 child, 3 child, and then of course married versus single, and then you also have now you can use the prior year income if it's more beneficial, and it actually goes up as your income goes up, and then it goes back down. Complicated credit. So you would like tax software to help you out with these, and there's the free tax software to do that. So what you want to do is look into those free tax software options and see if you have a tax benefit and related to these credits. There. So view IRS account information online. Individuals can use their IRS online account to securely access information about their federal tax account, including payments, tax records, and more. To help with filing a return, individuals can view the total amounts of economic impact payments issued for tax year 2021, the total amount of advanced child tax credit payments, their adjusted gross income from their last tax return, the total of any estimated tax payments they made, and refunds applied as a credit. They can also now make and track payments and manage communication preferences, including the option to go paperless and request email notifications for certain notices available online. Taxpayers are encouraged to register for an online account if they haven't already, or sign in to access this information and explore these new features. Important 2021 tax documents. Organized tax records make preparing a complete and accurate tax return easier and may help taxpayers find overlooked deductions or credits. Taxpayers should wait to file until they have all their supporting income statements, including but not limited to Form W-2. So obviously everybody probably knows the W-2 form. Forms 1099 from banks, issuing agencies, and other payers, including unemployment compensation, dividends, and distributions from a pension, annuity, or retirement plan. So you're probably fairly aware, of course, of the 1099s. You just want to make sure that you got all the 1099s when you file, because once again, you want to make sure that what you have on your tax return lines up to the 1099s, or else that could cause a processing delay on the IRS side. And Form 1099-K, 1099 miscellaneous, W-2, or other income statements if they worked in the gig economy. So a lot more people in the gig economy these days, and the IRS has been struggling to get a stranglehold around the neck of that economy until they could choke it to its death. And so they're doing a better job now. So now if you're in the gig economy, it's more likely that they've got someone, either the platform, or most likely the platform that they forced to, or possibly the payment providers, the payment. But in any case, they're forcing someone to give you a 1099, or they're trying to. And so it's more likely that you have that information. You want to make sure you report you have that, and that ties out and everything as you report it. Form 1099 INT if they receive interest payments, other income documents and records reporting virtual or cryptocurrency transactions. Form 1095A health insurance marketplace statement to reconcile advanced premium tax credits for marketplace coverage. That's the other one that's, again, pretty complex. So if you're in the marketplace, you got another kind of idea of this advanced payment, but you don't actually get the money in that case. They reduce the amount of your insurance premium payments, which then you got to do the same calculation at the end of the year, which oftentimes, once again, falls on lower income tax returns, making the lower income tax returns way more complex in this instance. So you got to calculate the credit and then get the advance payment, and then so on. So letter 6.4, in other words, it would be nice to use software if you're using the advance payments in the health insurance marketplace too, to help you out with that. So letters 6419, 2021 total advanced child tax credit payments to reconcile advanced child tax credit payments. Letter 6475, 2021 economic impact payment to determine eligibility to claim the recovery rebate credit. Free help. Once taxpayers have collected all their tax documents and information, they're ready to consider how they will file. IRS Free File, there's a link to that here, is a great option for eligible taxpayers who are only filing a tax return to reconcile 2021 advance payments and claim the recovery portion of their child tax credit, or to claim the 2021 recovery rebate credit, either because they didn't receive a third round economic impact payment or did not receive the full amount. So this is their fallback here on any kind of problems with these prepayments, like the economic impact payments and the child tax credit payments and so on, is to file the tax return at this point in time, which has become way more complex because of all these law changes. Therefore, they're trying to get these software providers to offer their software for free if your income is below a certain threshold, so that you can then, that should make things easier for their processing side of things. So hopefully you can then, with the help of software, file an accurate tax return, even though the low income tax returns are becoming amazingly complex. But the software should help you to pick that stuff up and then be able to process the tax return. So that's, you generally want to get some help in some way. The software is one format of the help you can get to file your taxes. And hopefully you can get it for free, which would be great. IRS Free File can also be used to claim the Earned Income Tax Credit, which provides a refundable tax credit based on a filer's income and family size. IRS Free File is available to any person or family who earns $73,000 or less in 2021. This year, there are 8 IRS Free File products in English and 1 in Spanish. Taxpayers can use a, quote, look up, end quote, tool to choose from one of the free file providers. Each provider sets its own eligibility standards, generally based on income, age, and state residency, giving taxpayers who earned $73,000 or less at least one product to use for free. Free File is just one way the IRS provides free tax preparation options to taxpayers through a partnership model. The IRS also partners with community organizations to train IRS certified volunteers to prepare and electronically file basic income tax returns for qualified individuals for free. I don't think there's any such thing as a basic income tax return anymore. They're all complicated these days. In any case, qualified taxpayers who generally make $58,000 or less, persons with disabilities, and limited English-speaking taxpayers who would need help preparing their own tax returns can get free tax help at one of the thousands of community volunteer sites through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, the VITA program. There's a link to that here, and the Tax Counseling for the Elderly, TCE program. Link to that here, offered by AARP, offers free tax help to all taxpayers, particularly those who are age 60 and older, specializing in questions about pensions and retirement-related issues unique to seniors. Members of the military and qualifying veterans can use the mill tax. There's a link to that here, a Department of Defense program that generally offers free online tax preparation and e-filing software for federal returns and up to 3 state returns. New alternative media preference to help taxpayers. Beginning January 31st, 2022, taxpayers can complete Form 9000 alternative media preference to choose to receive their IRS tax notices in Braille, large print, audio, or electronic formats. This includes notices about additional taxes or penalties owed. Taxpayers can include the completed form with their tax return, mail it as a standalone form to the IRS, or call 800-829-1040 to elect their preferred format. As a reminder, Forms 1040 and 1040SR are available in Spanish, and Schedule LEP, request for change in language preference, allows taxpayers to request information in 20 different languages besides English. E-file and choose direct deposit. The IRS encourages taxpayers to file electronically and use direct deposit to get their refunds. Combining e-file with direct deposit is the safest and fastest way to receive a refund. Taxpayers can file electronically through a tax professional, IRS Free File, or commercial tax preparation software. When choosing e-file and direct deposit, most people receive their refunds in less than 21 days. People who don't have a bank account can visit the FDIC website or use the National Credit Union Administration's Credit Union Locator tool to find an institution that allows them to open an account online, and for tips on how to choose the right account. Veterans can check out the Veterans Benefits Banking Program for access to financial services at participating banks. Taxpayers can also ask their preparer if they offer other electronic refund options. Although most refunds are delivered in 21 days, it could take longer if the tax return includes errors, is incomplete, or requests further security review. Paper file tax returns and paper refund checks will take even longer this year. There'll be links to some of that items here, including the free file option that's offered, or you can get to through the IRS website, and there'll be a link to this in the description.